The coronavirus pandemic continues. The violence continues with regard to alleged police murders, which were not murders. One of them wasn't, at least. But the vile left is whipping things up, and they, of course, as usual, are creating havoc in this country. As far as the coronavirus is concerned, we continue on with our class action lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, our similar case in Jerusalem, Israel, our lawsuit, criminal charges in The Hague, Holland at the International Criminal Court. But one case which is out there, which actually needs more exposure, and you're not going to hear it on Fox News, of course, because there's a blackout with regard to anything that Larry Klayman, his clients, like Laura Loomer and others, do. This is the blacklist that's been there for a very, very long time. They just want people on Fox News who really don't do anything, who are harmless. But we're not harmless, Laura Loomer and I. And we brought lawsuits against the social media companies, against Google, YouTube, against Facebook, against Twitter, against Instagram, against Apple, all of them. An antitrust lawsuit, and also a lawsuit under a law in the District of Columbia that says that you cannot discriminate on the basis of politics. Now, this case wound up in front of a hack Trump judge. I've been talking about the Trump judges. Contrary to what the president's telling you, they're by and large people who don't have any courage, part of the establishment. Their names were put in front of the president. He rubber stamped them. He didn't know who he was appointing. And they're frankly almost as bad as the Obama and Clinton judges, perhaps even as bad, at least in terms of my experience so far. And the judge that we drew in this was Trevor McFadden. And he used a Supreme Court case. He perverted the meaning of it, which said that if there's any plausibility to a complaint, that's a case styled Bell Atlantic versus Twombly, that you have to let it continue to discovery and perhaps on to a jury trial. We asked for a jury trial because what was happening here was not just that Laura Loomer was being discriminated against and banned from these sites, but Freedom Watch's YouTube has stayed static at around 45,000 subscribers now for almost 6 years. That's impossible because we do a lot of hard-hitting stuff. People want to know what we're doing, and they have a limitation on it. They won't let it grow. In fact, at one point, it was reduced from 70,000 subscribers to around 45, and that's mysterious as well. We also had an incident with Google YouTube when I criticized former Vice President Biden over the Ukraine and said we were going to start a citizens grand jury over his alleged bribery, which clearly was bribery. There's no question about that for him and his son. They wiped out, that is Google YouTube, all of our prior postings. I had to threaten Google YouTube to get it back on the site. I threatened them by saying I was going to join them along with Biden, and they freaked out, thinking that he may be the future president, God forbid, but they put us back on. But still, we're limited at 45,000. So anyway, to get back to the story, this judge, Trevor McFadden, dismisses the case because he decides, Trevor McFadden, someone who thinks that he's as smart as God, but he isn't God. He's a lot lower than that. In fact, he's down under. Dismisses it because he doesn't think it's plausible. Then it goes up to the D.C. Circuit, who affirms it in an abbreviated 4-page opinion that even Josh Gerstein of Politico, which is a leftist publication, thought was a disgrace. Now, this is unbelievable because, see, this is the story here in this country. The establishment circles the wagons for the big corporations. They don't want to make waves. That's how these judges got their jobs. You know, they are supported by special interests, political campaign contributions, and such. Now, we're going back on a petition for rehearing in front of the court. Hopefully, we'll draw some judges who will see things properly. And what was really interesting is that the District of Columbia, which is very leftist, about 97 to 98% of the people that live in the district voted for Clinton and Obama, and many, many other Democrats. Even they sided with us on this and said it's discrimination against conservatives. It doesn't matter whether it's on the internet or in a public place, in a public square. So that case is going through the courts. But now we find out, thanks to whistleblowers and others, that NBC pressured Google YouTube to take the Federalist off the site and to do other things with regard to other conservative sites. This is a real issue. It's a real problem, and it needs to be addressed. And we are addressing it in the courts. As usual, it's Freedom Watch and Larry Klayman that are bringing the hard-hitting cases. We just don't get documents. We seek to make real change in the courts. And of course, if you can't do it in the courts, then you go to citizens' grand juries and you have people indicted by the people, and it's legal. And then you try them, you convict them, you sentence them, and you seek to peacefully and legally mete out those sentences. And that's what we're doing. And we're going to hold all of the criminals accountable, whether it's the Obamas, the Clintons, Comeys, McCabe's, the Lovebirds, Clapper, Brennan, you name it. Once this coronavirus subsides and we can meet, and as we're getting very close to that, we'll be proceeding with citizens' grand juries. So I just want to point out the difference between Freedom Watch, my group, and other groups, which either just get documents or send out petitions, sign here, it's smoke and mirrors. We're actually trying to do the heavy lifting, and we need your support. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Sign up for our Justice League. See if you qualify for our class action against the communist Chinese. Support our other endeavors, our judicial selection strike force, so we get better judges, not these judges, these hacks that are the result of special interests that donate a lot of money to senators and the president to get them their post on the bench. A judge recently was found, I forget his name right now, they were given $500,000 to buy his judgeship. In fact, you can buy one for a lot less than that. You want to be a judge? Get somebody to start contributing. You can be a judge. Okay, if you're a lawyer in the federal system in most states, you don't even need to be a lawyer to be a judge. In fact, if you're not a lawyer, you're probably going to be a better judge. So that's my message for today. Support Freedom Watch. We are your Justice Department. You have no Justice Department. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Share this podcast. You can find it on iTunes, on Spotify, on Roku, on Amazon Fire, on Facebook, on Twitter, of course, on freedomwatchusa.org, on radioamerica.com. Again, I thank Radio America for allowing me to tell the truth as I see it each morning. God bless you. God bless your family. Stay safe. God is with us. I'll be back tomorrow with another edition of our podcast, A Special Prosecutor with Larry Klayman. Until then, thank you for listening to me.